And I'm going to share my screen. So welcome to our Triple Win webinar. Um, we've got a, I've got, this is our agenda for tonight. We've got 4 speakers. We'll start with Mayor Newhard and then Trustee Corey Bachman. Nick Mirsky from Solstice is here. Our representative from Astro Power wasn't able to make it tonight. She sent a brief message. I'm Michael Helm. I'm from Sustainable Warwick and also an energy navigator volunteer trained by Cornell Cooperative Extension. After this, I think several of us have other meetings to get to. So let's just hop to it. And I'm going to turn the floor over to Mayor Newhard.
Thank you, Michael. Michael at the helm. I firstly want to thank you for introducing the village to this program. And with your legwork, your understanding of the importance not only of obviously of community solar, but how it really is kind of custom fit for residents who live in a village setting. That I think is very important. But first I want to just speak about the village's, a little bit of village's history. And we have had a long recognition and done a tremendous amount of work over time in terms of sustainability. We've always been definitely supporting Sustainable Warwick and also partnered with Sustainable Warwick on many initiatives over time. We're one of the few and earliest communities to have charging stations in downtown. I serve on a statewide environmental committee through New York Council of Mayors. And so we meet on a quarterly basis to discuss legislation that's going down the pipeline that may affect especially our cities and villages. And I've been on that committee for almost 2 years. It's been a lot of work, but great, because it connects us to Albany and what they're thinking on that level. And we've participated in various solar and clean energy campaigns, including heat pumps, for example. And what I find very interesting is this campaign has, I think, a greater resonance because, as they say, it's triple win. It really does. I mean, not only do you have the win of using alternative energy, but you also have a win that you don't have to have large solar panels in your front yard, and you can give a $100 gift to your one of your nonprofits that we have listed, and then you get $100 to join on. And they've made it very simple, very straightforward. Of course, when somebody's giving something away, what is this, snake oil? So you of course the red flags go up, like what are they doing? So I think through this evening will help you understand that this is really a great program, and it really is meant to help us. The village is looking to be part of it in terms of a participant, because we do have a lot of accounts, and so that's very important. So I think that again, seems to be almost custom fit for a village setting. We have people that are apartment dwellers. We have people that are on fixed incomes, senior citizens. We have young families. I mean, we have the gamut of mankind living cheek to jowl, and not all cheek to jowl, but in close quarters and in neighborhoods. And and also we are in a historic district, and so there are certain levels of protection for homes and for our beautiful historic buildings that you don't want to slap a solar panel in the front of it. So as an aside too, Michael Sweeten and I were on the early committee and went through the entire process of creating the solar application form that is used statewide. It's tweaked by communities, but basically we created we were part of a statewide initiative to create that kind of expedient form so that, it didn't have to go through planning board and other approvals that were laborious and, not productive. So, so I'm very proud of that. And this too, it took about 6 months for that to actually happen. And it was pre-Zoom, so it was all phone conferences. So, but anyway, this is a great opportunity. And I hope that people will look at it very carefully. It is also an opportunity for the village because we are in the throes of becoming a clean energy community. And this is one of the things that is anticipated by NYSERDA for us to have that, that title. And so we're getting very close, and we're really looking forward to that because that opens up tremendous initiatives and also grant funding. So we're really looking to get to that point of being a clean energy community and being able to do programs or do projects that would be funded through New York State or potentially would be matching funds. So, so I have said a lot, and I'm going to, since we're a tag team here, I'm going to pass it on to the next speaker. That would be Corey.
Thank you. What really drew me to this campaign and the appeal of it was specifically relating to our nonprofits. I think Warwick has a lot of great nonprofits that do amazing work in the community, but it's just a great, this initiative is a great way to get them all working together and not only be sponsored by another nonprofit in our community, but also by the village. This added incentive, I think really makes the program. That participants who enroll will be able to designate $100 to one of 6 local nonprofits. The Warwick Valley Humane Society, Family Central, Safe Space America, Grow Local Greenwood Lake, the Warwick Valley Community Center, and the Town of Warwick Historical Society. I think it's just a great program and really something that these nonprofits really need right now, especially over the last year and a half. And I think that this is a really great and wonderful program.
Okay. Well, thank you, Trustee Bachman. We always call you Corey, but Trustee Bachman and Mayor Newhart, thank you for those comments and also for the great work your village does as far as becoming a clean energy community and the sustainability things that you have adopted over time. Our next speaker is going to be Nick Mirsky. Go ahead, Nick. I'm going to put a spotlight on you.
Lovely. I have a brief presentation as well, if you
wouldn't
mind enable screen sharing.
Go ahead.
I guess I'll just start off by saying thank you for inviting me. I've had the pleasure to, so I work at Solstice. We are a community solar provider in the area. And we've been very fortunate to work with Sustainable Warwick. I myself have had the chance to work with Michael before. And it really is my pleasure to be here speaking today. Put together a very brief presentation for y'all. So I'm going to take screen share. I hope that it answers your questions. Certainly be able to help answer them afterwards if timing permits. And sorry for the delay. Sometimes getting the screen to share can take forever, but I guess that wasn't too bad. As my computer loads. So like I said, I work for Solstice. Our slogan is Solar for Every American. And we believe very strongly that barriers of access should be removed so that every single person can access renewable energy. We're very happy to be here representing part of the Warwick Triple Win campaign. So the age of solar really has arrived. I know that some of you on this Zoom have been involved in renewable energy for a very long time and have seen some of the trends really play out. What's really unique about solar in the last couple of years that for the first time ever, solar is now cheaper than fossil fuels. So a lot of research and development went into making solar panels work even better and less expensive to produce. And that's why we're getting to see programs like community solar really tearing down those barriers, because now it's an industry that can really thrive and is very cost effective. The unfortunate sort of truth behind the renewable energy industry, though, is that a lot of people cannot access renewables. I think most people love the idea of solar panels and clean energy, but unfortunately around 77% of US homes cannot access solar. And the most common reasons are, some are structural, people's roofs are shaped weird, or like their roofs can't support panels. But more often than not, the biggest barrier has to do with income. And people don't have the money to finance panels, or they're renters and they don't own the rights to put something on a rooftop. And that's really where community solar comes in. New York State has put together a really lovely program around community solar. So if y'all are ever driving on the highway or on a route and you see something like this is a solar farm. This is what Solstice works in. What's really unique about community solar farms is they're built in remote areas plugged into the grid. And then everybody who's living in the surrounding areas is actually able to enroll and subscribe. So the really short version of it is nothing is done to your property. Everything is set up through the utility. And all you actually do by enrolling in community solar is say, I support the solar farm that's over there. It's entirely free to do. It's also entirely free to cancel. So if a person wanted to support this campaign, sign up for community solar, then in a couple of years, or really at any time, decide that they wanted to put panels on their rooftop, or if they were moving, or for any reason they didn't want to be a part of a solar farm, it's an incredibly consumer-friendly program set up to make it easy to participate for as long as people are happy to do so. One of the personal benefits for a person enrolling is you'll receive a less expensive utility bill. Utility bills will be lowered by roughly 10%. The solar farm, for participants who enroll, they're going to create credits that are going to be put onto people's accounts. And then those credits are actually discounted 10%. We're now doing consolidated billing at Solstice, so all of this is wrapped up through the through the utility. So there's only one bill to pay, and it's a really great platform to make things really easy for folks. Another slide on how it works. Again, it's a remote solar farm that gets plugged into your utility, and because we all live on the grid, it's essentially like an administrative task to say that you want to be on a solar farm. And it's very simple to do. Whoops, I went ahead of myself. So a couple of unique things about Solstice that I'm very proud about. Part of the reason why I've worked here for years. I care tremendously about the environment and clean energy, but I also care tremendously about investing in communities and tearing down those barriers of access. Solstice is a company that is led by women of color. It's the only company that can say that working in this space. And our CEO and founder, Steph Spears, she just really has a wonderful vision for the future, making sure that everybody, regardless of their socioeconomic background or really regardless of their background, can access clean energy. We take this into communities. I work on our community partnerships team. Our focus is local wealth building, so I was super excited to learn about this campaign, the opportunity to give back to local nonprofits. As anybody who joins this campaign, they'll be given the opportunity to earmark a donation to any of our partner nonprofits within the campaign. More on that in the next slide. And yeah, I think it's just a really win-win-win, because not only can people save money, people earn a sign-up bonus for joining. It's a sign-up bonus of $100. And really importantly, they're supporting the environment, but they're also able to...
Bonus to you.
but I'm also able to donate, generate a donation for a nonprofit that we're working with. We're really proud to be working with. Since 2017, when Solstice was funded, our partnerships program has really committed to building community wealth. And since that time, we've been able to donate over $200,000 to nonprofits that we work with. I'm really proud to be a part of that. Lastly, I guess my great appeal for why I would love for everybody to not only join this initiative, but tell folks in their area to join this initiative. Solstice is working across multiple utilities, all the local utilities in the area. So even if you have friends that are not within Warwick, but are within New York, tell them to join as well. It's because we're really proud to be partnered with these 3 wonderful nonprofits. Everyone who's joining is going to generate a $100 donation, and they can actually choose which nonprofit they want to support. The Family Central Parenting Support Network, Grow Local, Greenwood Lake, and the Town of Warwick Historical Society. And I just thank everybody for your time, and I will get off the screen share. And hopefully I won't have the spotlight on me too much longer.
Oh, I will. Very good. Let's see. I'm sorry. Let's see. It's my turn next. And I just want to, I've never put a spotlight on myself before doing this. So there we are. I've got a number of slides that I'd like to present. But before I do, I want to mention that, besides Solstice, there's also Astral Power. And I'm going to read off my other screen here. Sorry for looking away from you. So Astral Power, they're Senior VP in charge of sales, Kara Humphreys. She has another commitment tonight. She's apparently some sort of county environmental management council, and she's supposed to be giving out awards. She thought she had somebody to cover for her, but that didn't happen. So she really apologizes for not being here, and she wanted me to read these few sentences. She says, "We at Astral Power are thrilled and honored to be included with the Triple Win campaign. The Triple Win campaign is a unique opportunity for us to green our grid, save some of our hard-earned cash, support our community organizations, and reduce our carbon footprint. We applaud Sustainable Warwick for their dedication to our community, our environment, and the Warwick citizens. Way to go, Sustainable Warwick." So we appreciate that message from Kara. And one of the things I want to point out is that when we started setting up this campaign, I went and reviewed all of the companies that offer community solar in the Orange and Rockland area. And basically, they all offered the same deal, up to 10% off your typical electric bill. And I'll go into more detail about that later, about how that up to 10% off works. But among them, a few of them were giving sign-up bonuses. Not all of them, but some of them. Well, the $100 sign-up bonus is the best that we could find in the Orange and Rockland area. And then a couple of them, but not all of them, worked in the way where they like to do what Nick talked about. They work with local community groups to generate donations. I was familiar with this because a couple of years ago, Sustainable Warwick got, I think it was $3,600 of referral bonuses for working with Solstice. And this year I looked around and thought, we don't need the money that badly, but there are so many groups out there that could use it. And so, and I really wanted to get 2 organizations, 2 companies, not just 1, but 2. And it really is a question. Nick may disagree, but I really believe it's, you look at the nonprofits, pick the one you like, and then find the company that goes with that nonprofit. They really are offering the same thing. If Nick has some disagreement, I would be happy to hear it, but I'm thinking he probably goes along. I've heard other people agree with me on that. Okay, so at this point, I want to share my screen.
Hey,
Okay,
a very long time ago. Are you on your way home or anything?
just a second.
Okay. I'm listening. I'm on that solar thing now. I'm listening on a Zoom meeting.
Gosh, how can I mute everybody? I've got to come out of this a second, just a second.
Is that when you'll be here? Okay, are you all right?
I'm sorry about this delay, folks. I'm just going to start and try to speak loudly. So
Okay, good.
usually
Okay.
when we explain how community solar works, we just try to make the point that the customer doesn't need to put solar panels on their own home. And the graphic above shows how the customer gets the benefit of solar,
Perfect.
even when the solar panels are not on their own property.
Right.
But I'd like to take us out into the weeds to get a better understanding of how community solar works. And I'm promising you, there are no ticks among those weeds. I know ticks are a big concern to everyone here in the Hudson Valley, so I just wanted to make that point very clear up front. So most of us don't know where our electricity comes from. This diagram shows how electricity is generated by multiple sources and fed into the grid. You see over there on the left, you've got nuclear, you've got the your standard power plant, hydro, wind and solar, of course. So the energy supply companies, thus the ESCOs, they aggregate the electricity and they provide it to the utility via transmission lines. And then the utility distributes the electricity to the customers. We can think of this work in three parts. Part one, the ESCOs supply electricity, and they are responsible for having the right amount of electricity at ONR's disposal 24/7 to cover the usage of their customers. Some of the well-known ESCOs that I'm familiar with are like Green Mountain. We see them at the farmers market all the time. Viridian, and there's a clean energy one. Companies like that. Those are the ESCOs. The second part of this is that ONR is responsible for distributing the electricity throughout its network. And that work is also taking place 24/7. And the third part is basic maintenance and servicing of the local distribution network. I'm going to pause here a minute and point out most people have an ESCO, but some people haven't picked one, and so ONR also asks as the supplier. Sometimes sometimes that happens. Okay, let's say that ONR bills the customer for $100. When the customer pays ONR, let's watch where the money goes. About $20 goes to the basic service charge, and that's the same for all customers. About half of the rest goes to ONR to pay for its distribution work, while the remainder goes to the ESCO for supplying the electricity. Let's look what happens when community solar is added to the picture. A very crucial feature of community solar is that it must be built within the service district of the customers it's serving. So this locally generated electricity is very valuable, and New York has policies that recognize this value through something called renewable energy credits. The abbreviation for renewable energy credits is RECS, R-E-C-S, R-E-C, RECS. So why do the community solar arrays earn these RECs? It's because the arrays generate electricity without greenhouse gas emissions. And also, because of the location of the arrays, they reduce the need for lengthy transmission of the electricity, which is a way to waste electricity, to transmit it a long way. The arrays also tend to produce electricity at times of peak demand. That means they're putting clean electrons on the grid at the very time when the most expensive parts of the energy supply chain are working and the most dirty parts are working. So they're basically reducing the demand for those most expensive and most dirty forms of energy. And the last thing I'm going to say is that as battery storage ramps up, this source of energy will become even more valuable. It's this locally generated clean energy will just become extremely valuable. So when a customer subscribes to community solar, then the community solar company will give some of the RECs that they earn to O&R. And this effectively will cover the customer's bill. Let's watch what happens with this with a bill this time. So O&R gets RECs worth $100, and it uses that money basically to fund its basic service work and the distribution work. And it also pays the ESCO the $40 because the ESCO still has to be there providing service 24/7. They have to, be providing all that electricity through all that time. O&R will then send the customer a bill, but for how much? Well, basically it tells the customer, the community solar company covered your bill, so we're charging you nothing this month. The community solar company then bills the customer, but at a 10% discount to the value of the RECs it gave to O&R. So besides illustrating that the customer doesn't need solar panels on their own property, I hope this explanation also clarifies that community solar customers also need to keep their ESCO, and of course that O&R is still in the middle of the picture. I've got a few further comments before I close here, but so first is that, because the community solar company built locally, you can almost say it's getting $90 instead of $40. There are some differences, but basically there are policies there that incentivize companies and investors to invest in the building of these local community solar arrays. And it does it without directly taking taxpayer dollars or ratepayer dollars. Okay, having said that, the community solar arrays don't get to sell all of their RECs to customers. A portion of them are given to NYSERDA, which uses them to help low-income New Yorkers with their electricity bills through a program known as Solar for All. So someone who qualifies for food stamps, SNAP, or HEAP, the Heating Assistance Program, they also get a very similar discount on their electric bill if they get signed up for Solar for All. Then some months, and this especially when days are long in the summer, like today, the community solar companies will be generating much more electricity for each customer than the customer will use. Those extra credits are saved up for the following months, such as in the winter when the days are short and they won't possibly be able to generate enough electricity to cover the customer's whole bill. Then in other months, okay, so let's look at a situation like that. So in some months, the community solar company will not generate enough to cover the customer's whole bill. And this includes when they count in the extras saved up from over the summer or previous months. Then whatever portion is covered will get the 10% discount, and the remainder will be charged at the regular rate. Let me show you an example. If the solar array only generates $50 of RECs for this customer, the O&R bill would be $50, and then the community solar bill would be 10% off whatever was covered. So this is how they give you 10% off whatever they cover for you, but they won't necessarily cover your whole bill every month. I'm sorry. And so I said I was going to take you out in the weeds, and before we leave the weed patch, I just want to say a couple more things. Here's a great website for learning about foraging. And you could save up to 10% on your groceries if you learn to forage, or possibly more. But really, saving up to 10% on your electric bill with a community solar would be a lot easier than foraging. Also, I hope I haven't got anyone ticked off or confused by mixing my metaphors this evening. Okay. So at this point, we're off to question and answer. Does anybody have some questions they'd like to ask?
I do. I do.
Go ahead, Carol.
Okay, so you had me until you said the thing about you have to keep your ESCO. So the one that I chose that I'm using now, that becomes my back burner one? Is that becomes my back burner supplier, or?
So, Nick, do you want to handle this? Or
Yeah, I could definitely handle it.
go ahead.
So the energy supply companies of New York and Community Solar are different programs. And so Community Solar is compatible with every energy supply company, whether you're being supplied through the utility, ONR, or if you use one of the private entities. I think what Michael was saying is that if you take a bird's eye view, like a very macroscopic viewpoint of like how ESCOs interact with utilities, is that on a community solar farm, like these ESCOs will still exist and play a role in making sure there's energy on the grid to cover usage. At the individual, like micro level, you can be on an ESCO and a solar farm. You can be on a ESCO and a solar farm and then switch ESCOs. So the solar farm program is an entirely independent program set up by the state. So we don't interact much with ESCOs. We always say at Solstice we're ESCO agnostic. So if you have one you like, feel free to use a solar farm. If you don't have one that you like and you're on a solar farm, like that's fine too. But for the grand scheme of Orange and Rockland, the utility, like ESCOs are always going, or maybe not always, but right now ESCOs play a big role in making sure that there is energy on the grid. Where solar farms are coming in is they're easing that burden, because ESCOs are aggregating this energy. It can come from anywhere. When you're on a solar farm, you know that you're supporting clean local energy.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, so my individual bill, right now when I flip it over, it tells me who my supplier is. Am I now going to have two suppliers?
No, the solar farm doesn't act as a supplier. Your supplier sets your rate and is supplying the grid with energy, and solar farms are supplying your bill with credits that are like a financial value. So what will happen on the solar farm is, what will happen on your bill, maybe this will like help to answer the question really simply. On a solar farm in Orange and Rockland, I assume this is the same with the other solar provider as well. You're going to have all the line items you have right now, energy, supply, demand, and delivery. Mm-hmm. And then you'll have an additional line item, which will be your credit. And your credit will be deducted off of your bill. And that's relative to how well the solar farm produced that month. On months where you are earning more credits on a monthly basis than you can use, you store them in a credit bank so that they can apply to your bill in the winter months. So joining in the summer is actually like the best time to join community solar because you don't have that up and down nearly as much. So you'll receive those credits. They're subtracted off of your Orange and Rockland bill entirely. They're billed by the community solar farm. So Solstice, any community solar program that's operating in this area will work this way. So it'll be billed separately for them, and they'll be applied a flat 10% discount. So you end up with a piece of paper from the utility stating you might owe them if the solar farm didn't cover your whole bill. And then you'll have a piece of paper from the solar farm saying the cost of those credits. And generally solar farms are going to bill a couple weeks after you receive your utility bill. So your first notice will be you'll get your utility bill, you'll see credits on there. Those credits are entirely subtracted off of your bill. And then you get billed for those credits a few weeks later with a 10% discount added.
Can I add something? Maybe this will clarify.
Please.
Your community solar company can't be your 24/7 supplier. It will generate electricity when the sun is shining. When it's nighttime, when it's cloudy, it won't generate enough. So it generates huge amounts of electricity like in the middle of the day and nothing during the night. You couldn't live on that kind of electricity supply. So you need to keep an ESCO in place who's going to do that 24/7 electricity supply function. But what they will try to do is figure out, well, what is your annual usage? And over the course of a year, generate to cover whatever that ESCO is applying to you.
I can't talk to you now. I'm on a webinar. Cool.
Does that make it clear?
Yeah, that's, I appreciate it. I got it actually when,
When Nick explained, okay.
yeah, thank you. But that also helps though too. It kind of reinforces it. So my other question was, my ESCO I can change at different points in time. If you sign on with the community solar kind of thing, is that forever? Or what, is there a period of time when you're signing, or what, how does that?
So I can't speak to the like the customer agreement for Astral. I would imagine it's similar though. So for Solstice, when you sign the user agreement, we use DocuSign, send you an email, you click it twice, and boom, you're basically on a solar farm at that point. It's very simple. When you sign it, the only thing on there that has to do with how long you are on the solar farm, or any like terms, anything that like people, you know, comb fine print to try to learn about, is that if you're leaving the solar farm, we ask for a 90-day notice to remove you from the solar farm. So you could be on the hook for those credits. Again, credits cost less than your bill. So the only reason why people leave solar farms is usually if they're moving, or if they're putting up rooftop solar. But it's entirely free to join community solar, and it is also entirely free to cancel community solar. So you, like, if you joined and then hit the lottery tomorrow, and we're all great environmentalists, we know that one of the first things we're going to do is get solar panels, then that's fine. And actually at Solstice, we would entirely support, I mean, we can't like financially support you in that endeavor, but we emotionally support any of our customers that are on a solar farm who then choose to leave the solar farm, really for any reason. Yeah, we ask for a little window just so that we can replace your share. You know, we're sort of functioning like a CSA, like helping people in the community, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time to find that next customer. But generally speaking, we can replace shares before 90 days. We just build that window to make sure that we can. As soon as we have a replacement customer, we remove that person from the project, or 90 days, whatever happens faster.
Thank you.
I would imagine it's this. I would imagine it's very similar for Astral too.
I was going to say, and Irene, you can unmute yourself if you want. I know you have a question, but I want to say, the public originally, the community solar companies had, you know, to get out of your contract before 20 years, it was like really expensive. But the Public Service Commission said, no, can't do it that way. So they've all changed. It's all pretty much a 90-day. You just need to give them advance notice so they can work out the details of the back office with ONR.
Mm-hmm.
Irene, you had a question.
Yes. Why is the amount that these companies, Solstice, can provide for you less than if you put solar panels on your roof?
I'm going to take that question. It's not. If you can put solar panels on your roof, in most circumstances, you get a much better deal over the long term than if you do community solar. But as Nick pointed out at the beginning of his presentation, throughout the country, 77% of homes just are not eligible.
Right.
Shading, or they live in a place where there's a homeowners association, like some people I know.
Yeah.
You are.
Me.
Or there are so many reasons that a person couldn't have it. I sort of suspect that that's the national average, and probably in Warwick, it's not that high. You still have to think of all the people in New York City who can't get solar panels, and you have to use the people in Warwick to average them out. Probably more of us are eligible for solar than 23%. But still, there are a lot of reasons people can't get solar, and so if you can get solar, it's a good deal. And here's an important point. Like, for example, I have solar panels, and I got really great tax credits to do that. Well, thank you, all of you New Yorkers, for helping me with those tax credits. What about everybody else? Community solar is set up so that everyone else, maybe they don't have the finances right now to get their own panels, But with community solar, they can also save some money and go solar.
You said you get a good deal or a better deal, but I don't know why the Solstice can supply all my energy needs, or is it a matter of not being able to save it up and give each person, or do they have less of solar farms so they don't have that amount?
So I think a really important thing to note about rooftop solar, or like ground mount, like anything that you own, the key differentiator is you own it. So you're like making these payments on your solar panels, they're providing you with energy, like the utility is like balancing that out, so that in the long run, you're working towards owning your own panels, which is essentially eliminating your utility bill entirely. So over the course of a lifetime, that's going to save you more money. Whereas on the solar farm, you're purchasing, as Michael said, these REC credits, and you're purchasing them at a discount, but you're not afforded that same benefit of working towards owning the panels. It's sort of like like owning a house versus being a renter. It's like owning a house is probably better in the long run, but it requires some initial investment, and not everybody has that. So for people who can't, obviously renting is the way to go. And that's sort of a similar analogy for community solar versus owning panels, whether they're rooftop, ground mount, or there are even some models for community solar ownership. But Solstice is a company where we have people that are essentially like purchasing those REC credits and not putting that upfront money towards buying the panel.
Okay, now, are all people connected, even if they have those panels on their house, are they also connected to a utility?
Yes, they are. Almost all the solar installations are connected to the grid.
So they get a mixed bag sometimes because, like in the winter, we don't have a situation where we get as much sunlight.
Again, it's actually, I sort of underappreciate how community solar works because I have my own panels. I have to generate a lot. My panels have to generate a lot in the summer that it won't get used until the winter. And sometimes I use them up before the winter's over, and sometimes I make it through the winter. It's sort of like, how high has my wood pile stack? Did I stack high enough, so that I'll make it through the whole winter?
Right. So you can possibly provide, but if not, you're connected to a utility?
I'm always connected to the utility anyway.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense to me, the whole picture. Thank you.
Thank you, Irene. Folks, I know a couple people need to run to new meetings. We have, I'm happy to stay on and continue doing questions, but I just want to say, if people need to run to meetings, they're welcome to go at this point, or to stay on for another 10 or 15 minutes. If anyone needs to run and wants to, just let us know. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I just had a quick question about the enrollment process. And I guess specifically, at what stage are we able to select, the community benefit or something like that?
I'll answer that, and then I'll let Nick go. So if you go to the Triple Win campaign on the Sustainable Warwick website, at the bottom, there are icons for all 6 nonprofits. And then if you click on one of those, it will take you to a sign-up sheet. If it happens to be one that's working with Solstice, it will take you to a Solstice sign-up sheet, but they'll know which nonprofit you wanted to benefit. If you click on one that has to be an Astral Power one, it will take you to a sign-up sheet that was set up by Astral Power, and they will know which one you are signing up for.
Good. Thanks.
Sure.
Yeah, I would just add that for anybody who's considering it and maybe has any trepidation about the process of enrolling or managing an account, it's very simple to do. Signing up for Solstice or for Astral. Again, I can't speak to Astral, but I almost 100% certain it's very similar, if not the same. Probably will take like around 5 minutes. You need like a recent copy of your utility bill, you sign a user agreement and upload a payment method for your solar farm subscription. And then you'll get emailed on a monthly basis, letting you know like how your solar panels produced, how much carbon you took out of the grid by being on a solar farm. The whole process is very streamlined and very simple. So if you're considering it and you have any trepidation about the process of joining, it's very simple. And there are a lot of helpful people who work the phones who can walk you through that process as well.
Okay.
I've got a few questions here that, you know, I'm sort of my hobby to study this stuff, and sometimes I see some questions that I think are a little bit illuminating. Nick, if somebody signed up for community solar, would they be able to take a group of people to have like a community picnic between the rows of panels in the solar array?
So that is a really astounding question. I love it. I'm sad to say I don't know, but I will find out because it's adorable and I would like to know.
Well, let's hold on a second, Nick. Karen, are you there? Karen from the community center. Karen Thomas is logged on. She maybe had to step away. The community center offers community dinners. I just want to say you could sign up for community solar, support the community center, and enjoy one of their community dinners also.
Thank you for bringing that up, Michael. I'm here. I was just muted.
Okay. Well, do you want to say something else about being one of the partners in the campaign?
Well, we were certainly feel privileged to be able to be associated with something this important. We were one of the first organizations to have solar panels, which you've helped us out to relive. And so that was a big moment for us. And this is an easy way to raise money. We plan to offer this to all of our summer participant families to help us, you know, with the challenge of funding this year. And we can't thank you enough. And having the village and having all these partnerships really makes it an easy sell. So I thank you so much for all your help. You too, Nick.
I've got another question here, and this one I'm going to ask Corey to answer because I think he's on the board of the Historical Society. So someone raised this question. He says, and I'm sorry, I'm looking on my other screen because I have them all out there. He says, over by the grade school, I've seen a huge open field where I think George Washington's troops once camped. Could we turn that into a community solar array? Do you think George Washington would approve?
They go for it.
Call from 20291.
I'm pretty sure the Historical Society is, of course, is defending our historical nature, and you could support the Historical Society if you were to sign up, you know, through their part of the campaign. I've got a couple other questions here. Someone wanted to know if they sign up for community solar, if their old dog would start being able to do new tricks. The people from the Humane Society couldn't be here, but definitely you could help them out. Oh, here was another big question. We hear this, I can't tell you how many times I've heard this question. If a lot of us do community solar, will it reduce smartphone dependency among teenagers in our community? I cannot tell you how many times I have been asked that question, but I want to tell you that if you sign up and you boost Family Central, they can help with the family issues and the kids on the phones. Okay. Here's another one. You know, it seems only a small minority of people have signed up for community solar. Do community solar subscribers ever get bullied or picked on? Anyone got an answer to that? Oh, Mayor Newhart, I think you're muted, but if you could unmute, I think you've got an answer for that one.
We've got solar panels will not protect you, but we do have an incredible organization that will. Safe Space America.
Very good. So if bullying was a concern of yours, then definitely we'd want you to get signed up for that. Let's see. Oh yes, this is a big question. If somebody says, I live in an apartment, if I sign up for community solar, will they let me plant vegetables between the rows of solar panels? And you know, you could be helping out Chad Polari and Grow Local Greenwood Lake. They're doing a great job starting a new community garden over there, helping people learn how to garden and turning an otherwise unusable lot into a really great vegetable garden. So that would be one way to do it. Did I leave anybody else out? I think I covered them all. Do we have any other questions at this point? Okay, so I'm going to just share my screen one more time. Oh, Irene has a question. Go ahead, you can unmute Irene. You have to unmute Irene.
Okay. Where do we pick up the paperwork?
You can get the paperwork on the Sustainable Warwick website. I put a link in the chat. I'll also send a link to it by email, just how I sent you the Zoom meeting link today.
Okay, and is there any at the library?
There are a couple of brochures at the library. You could also, oh, here. You could call either of these 866 numbers. You could call Astral Power at 866. You can see it right there on the screen. Or you can call Nick in his office or in Solstice there.
Is
Okay.
there anything that shows a comparison? Am I muted? No. Between the two, the Solstice and Astral Power?
I believe that the product they offer is the same. Besides having Nick in the room, Nick wasn't there, but there was a third company at one point that was going to be in this campaign, and we had all three in a room, and they said we're all offering the same thing, and so they were happy to be all on one big campaign. The idea, a lot of people, you know, maybe they would actually encourage people to sign up for Astral, and some people Astral talk to would actually sign up for Solstice. Pick the nonprofit you love and sign up.
And they both, the two of these offer all of those nonprofits.
No. Let's see. I'm going to stop the share. I will bring up another page that demonstrates this better. Oops. So this is the Triple Win webpage. And you can see, so Astral Power is partnered with the Humane Society, the Community Center, and Safe Space America.
Okay.
And Solstice is partnered with Family Central, Grow Local Greenwood Lake, and the Historical Society.
Okay, got it.
If you really wanted to, you could pick Safe Space America, but say, or tell Solstice you want to sign up with them, but you want your money to go to Safe Space America. I'm sure they would do it. I've heard that they would. I bet Astral would do for any of them. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Do we have any other questions tonight? Okay, so I am going to stop the recording.